or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Ken Kuminski, and for the next hour I'll be reading from issues from the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And I'll start with Thursday, April 30th, 2026. Fired Downs bartender seeks $15 million. David Hewson alleges retaliation for reporting executives' misconduct by Saul Hauser and Mike Pettinella, Batavia. A former bartender at Batavia Downs filed a lawsuit Tuesday seeking $15 million in damages from Western Regional Off-Track Betting, the public corporation that owns the casino, for alleged retaliation for a whistleblower complaint against Chief Operating Officer Steve Casey. President and Chief Executive Officer Byron Brown and Casey are also named as defendants. In the filing made in Orleans County Supreme Court, David Hewson of Waterport alleged that top officers at WROTB retaliated against him by firing him from his job after he reported crude and bullying actions by Casey. Hewson, who began bartending at Batavia Downs in 2005 and was promoted to bar supervisor in 2008, retired in 2023 before returning to the casino in a part-time sub-status position, performing similar duties 8 days later, according to the court filing. In September 2024, WROTB hired former Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown as president and CEO, and Brown selected his former deputy mayor and longtime confidant Steve Casey as chief operating officer. Upon Casey's arrival, the workplace became factionalized between employees associated with prior leadership and employees favored by Mr. Casey, the filing reads. Employees who are associated with prior leadership were excluded from communications, decision-making, promotions, and ordinary workplace opportunities. At one point, the filing says Casey complained to a manager that he hated the bartenders and said he wanted to shut down the 34 Rush Bar. In another incident, during an active shooter drill, Casey allegedly sprayed another employee associated with previous leadership with water. In December 2025, Hewson said he and a coworker, Kara Long, met with Steve Haig, the head of WROTB's Compliance Committee, and asked about whistleblower protections. Haig allegedly told them that WROTB rules and state laws would protect anyone who made a credible allegation. According to the filing, after Hewson and Long complained about Casey, 28 other employees came forward and an outside investigation was initiated, eventually corroborating Hewson's and Long's reports. The court filing does not include details about the other employees, their allegations, or the outside investigation. On March 16, 2026, Brown and Vice President for Human Resources Danielle Fleming fired Hewson, citing only a detrimental impact on the company, according to Hewson's filing. After Hewson's firing, another employee allegedly overheard Casey discussing his termination with Brown, asking, "Did you use my verbiage?" Hewson's complaint alleges that WROTB's legal counsel advised that his termination was unwarranted, but that Byron Brown refused to reinstate him, though his complaint does not specify the source of that information. His complaint also alleges that Casey has snubbed Hewson's wife, Robin Hewson, who is a current WROTB employee, since his firing. Since then, Hewson, who is undergoing chemotherapy for leukemia, said that stress caused by the firing aggravated health conditions and caused him financial and emotional distress. At a meeting Wednesday night, Casey and WROTB attorney Michael Flattery said they had not yet reviewed the allegations in Houston's filing. Brown told the Daily News that while he can't yet speak to the details of the allegations, he believes they have no merit. We haven't seen this, but let me say this individual was properly terminated, and we will prove that in court, he said. We will respond through counsel, but I find it hard to believe that any claims in this document will have any truth to them. Houston's attorney, John Bartolome of Niagara Falls, could not immediately be reached for comment Wednesday evening. Next, passing the torch. Hale steps up as Friday retires from Sheriff's Office by Saul Hauser, Batavia. When Chief Deputy Brian Friday departed from the Genesee County Sheriff's Office on Wednesday, the sidewalk before him was lined with close to 100 colleagues, friends, and members. It was a send-off of handshakes, hugs, and kind words as Friday, the Chief Deputy of the Road Patrol Division, marked the end of a 30-year career with the Sheriff's Office. When I say it flew by, he said Wednesday. It's been a great ride. I've learned a lot of things, seen a lot of things, some of the things that you don't want people to see. But then you see some great things. You see things from people, from other deputies, other departments, police officers, social workers, that let you know that there is goodness in humanity. Among the most rewarding parts of the job, Friday said, was seeing the difference a little support can make for someone who's struggling. I've seen it from people here who will give out of their own belongings to help people out, or throw a family a few bucks just to get a meal at night, he said. I personally had that happen, where I went to a domestic, and what the cause of the argument was that they didn't have money and they were worried about food. They've got a small child there, he continued. I ran to the corner store and grabbed them a loaf of bread and a thing of bologna and milk, just whatever I can get at 2 a.m., to get them through that night to the next day. They didn't know where the next meal was coming from, but everybody here in this office would do that. And there are people out in the community who that do that all the time. It's good to see that, and it's good to see bystanders at a scene put their safety behind the others that they're trying to help out, Friday said. We've got a great county. We've got a great community. People help each other out, and I'm proud to be part of it for the last 30 years. Sad to go, but happy to move on, he said. A Batavia High School graduate, Friday initially attended Clarkson University with a major in business, then transferred to Genesee Community College, finishing his degree in criminal justice at SUNY Brockport. After working several security jobs in college, Friday joined the Genesee County Sheriff's Office as a deputy on May 13, 1996. He was promoted to sergeant in 2005, and in 2019, he became chief deputy of the Road Patrol Division. His proudest moment on the job was Genesee County's darkest. Last August's fatal bus crash on the thruway in Pembroke, which killed 5 passengers and injured dozens more. When deputies heard the call for help, they immediately stepped into action, Friday said. A couple of deputies did outstanding jobs helping out with the medical portions of that, he said. The fact that the people that you have in your own office did a great credit upon themselves. It's sort of a canned language, but it's true when we put that in the awards. They bring great credit upon themselves and the Genesee County Sheriff's Office. While Friday said the heart of the job has remained the same over the years, he lamented changes that he said have created additional paperwork, keeping deputies in the office instead of on the road. Body cams are great. I'm a proponent of them, Friday said. But a lot of times, you've got to go back and make sure you watch the body cam footage, because if you miss one phrase or something like that, that might get scrutinized if you end up on the stand. the timelines to get things in take people off the road, and that's where we need people on the road, not in front of a computer. It's probably double to triple the time to process a DWI arrest if you do it all in one shot. He said deputies have also been dealing with more repeat offenders in recent years. As far as bail reform, they took away much of the discretion from judges, right or wrong, but that just increases the repeat offenders that are out there, he said. Our deputies and investigators, they're out there dealing with the same people day to day, week to week, and obviously, if you read any of your media publications, it's the same names there. It's frustrating for our people because you can't be the problem solver everywhere. You go to the same houses. It's this problem one day, it's that problem another day. You end up being a counselor and social worker. There are a lot of roles that people don't see. It's not just going there, slapping the cuffs on somebody and bringing them to jail. In his retirement, Frede plans to work as a school security guard and spend his newfound free time boating, golfing, and working on projects at home with his children, Matthew and Haley, and his girlfriend, Stacy Pestuski. Concerns from citizens, planning, grants, there's just a lot of stuff that I would be happy to not have to worry about anymore, he said. I'm not trying to talk Chief Deputy Hale out of the job, but it's quite a bit, and I'm just happy to not have those stresses. At 3 p.m. Wednesday, Frede officially passed the reins to Deputy Sheriff Andrew Hale. Hale, a Batavia High School graduate, served 2 tours in Iraq in the Marines before attending St. John Fisher, where he studied military history, and GCC, where he studied criminal justice. After a stint delivering parcels for FedEx, he joined the sheriff's office on June 17, 2013, working as a field training officer and briefly in investigations before he was promoted to sergeant in 2018. That in itself is a challenge, being the overseer of a young group of guys that want to get after it and trying to curtail all the different personalities to work together through a multitude of police calls, from barking dog complaints to fatal motor vehicle accidents to drug interdiction. Hale said Wednesday that's probably been one of the most difficult things to navigate, and probably one of the things that I learned the most from. His time as a deputy has included one near miss. In 2016, Hale was sitting in his police cruiser filling out paperwork related to a traffic stop when David Michael O'Connor fired a shot through his cruiser's rear window, narrowly missing Hale. O'Connor later pleaded guilty to second-degree attempted murder and was sentenced to 12.5 years in prison. It brought up a lot of old feelings that I carry from the service, that the fight isn't always overseas, that it's very real here in our own community at times, he said. That's not to say that we live in a bad area. We just have a few bad actors, but I think we sometimes are naive to think that can't happen here in Genesee County. For me, it made very real that no matter where it is, you are a police officer and those dangers exist. Hale enters the department's leadership at a time of short staffing, but he said he intends to give every officer the same attention he received when he arrived at the department. The guys that came before me, they were really good at making sure that I was well equipped, well informed, had the proper gear for the job, and they really did look out for us, he said. As new guys coming on the job, you really are just a guppy swimming in an ocean. So they did their due diligence to make sure that we were well equipped and able to handle everything that this job could potentially throw at us. I give those guys a lot of credit. Above all, Hale plans to stick to the advice his parents gave him growing up. Work hard, don't complain, put your head down and stick to the grind, he said. That's taken me far beyond any other advice I've ever gotten in life. As a reminder, you are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is now about 15 minutes past the hour. Next, man accused of arson at Batavia Downs. Police say Buchinger was caught by employees while fleeing. By Matt Sertel and Saul Hauser. A Batavia man has been charged with arson in connection with a fire last week at Batavia Downs. Maintenance staff at the venue called 911 on the morning of April 22nd after seeing smoke coming from one of the barns, city police said. The employees then observed a man walking away from the area. The man allegedly tried to flee and was restrained by the employees. After further investigation, Carl A. Buchinger II, 33, was charged with third-degree burglary, fourth-degree arson, and fourth-degree criminal mischief. Buchinger was arraigned in city court and released under the supervision of Genesee Justice. He is to appear in a court at a later date. Nobody was injured and no horses were in the barn because they were racing in Buffalo, Batavia Downs spokesperson Mike DeGeorge said Wednesday. Damage to the barn was minor, due in part to a lack of flammable hay. We want to thank our alert maintenance team that was on site and helped to locate the individual shortly after the incident. DeGeorge wrote in a statement. He also thanked Batavia Fire, Batavia City Police, and the Genesee County Sheriff's Office, all of which responded to the incident along with Batavia Downs security. Next, annual Spring Garden Gala set in Batavia. Sale, auction, and sampling support Genesee County Master Gardeners. The Genesee County Master Gardeners will host their annual Spring Garden Gala on May 16th. The event will take place 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., rain or shine, at the Cornell Cooperative Extension of Genesee County on 420 East Main Street. The plant sale features a variety of perennials, many of which are from the gardens of Master Gardeners, organizers said in a news release. There will also be a selection of houseplants. The plant sale will start promptly at 10 a.m. No early birds are requested. Other activities will include a basket auction. The basket auction will run 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. It will include a variety of themed baskets. Winners will be notified on May 18th after the gala. Gently used garden books will also be for sale. There will be a garden shed sale. The event's garden shed sale will feature an assortment of gently used and possibly new gardening items such as containers, tools, signs, and garden decor. It will be set up in the parking lot area near the CCE garden shed. And soil sampling. Area residents can obtain a soil sample from their garden or lawn for a free pH test. A half-cup sample of your garden soil in a clean plastic container or baggie is plenty, organizers said. Master gardeners will also be available to answer gardening questions. Proceeds will benefit the educational outreach of the Genesee County Master Gardener Program. Contact the CCE of Genesee County, 585-343-3040, extension 101, for more information. Those interested may also visit the CCE office during normal hours. And now, on the Genesene, back in the spotlight, 6 area students vie for spot at National Jimmy Awards by Ben Beagle. 6 area students are among the 40 young thespians chosen to compete for a spot in the 2026 National High School Musical Theater Awards, which take place at the end of June in New York City. The students were chosen as part of the Rochester Broadway Theater League's annual Stars of Tomorrow program, which celebrates high school theater in the greater Rochester region. 1 male and 1 female student will be chosen to represent Rochester at the National Awards, known as the Jimmies. Local students who will compete: Reagan Banker of Honey Eye Falls Lima Central School, who played Gabriella in Cinderella. Gus Crawford of Batavia High School, who played Dimitri in Anastasia. Sophia Hatfield of York Central School, who played Fiona in Shrek. Quinn Kenyon of Avon Central School, who played the title role in Annie. David Sick of Dansville Central School, who played Billy Flynn in Chicago. Ava Youngblood of Honei Falls Lima Central School, who played Charlotte in Cinderella. More than 300 students were eligible for consideration, and about 200 indicated they would like to be considered for Stars of Tomorrow, New York City bound, according to the RBTL. The students will head to RBTL's West Her Auditorium in May for a preliminary audition in front of a panel of judges, and depending on their scores, may progress to the next round of the competition, which will take place before a live audience May 21st at West Her Auditorium. The RBTL announced students participating in the Stars of Tomorrow New York City bound competition in mid-April ahead of the annual Stars of Tomorrow recognition ceremony. It's to give the students more time to prepare for New York City bound, said Laura Poliseni, communications coordinator for the RBTL. Each student will prepare vocal selections to perform before a panel of judges in what can be several rounds of competition to make it to the final live competition. Last year's Stars of Tomorrow, New York City bound competition was won by Tessa Myers and Ian Royce, both of Greece, Arcadia. The Jimmys take place at the end of June in New York City. At the Jimmy Awards, students go through 10 days of musical theater rehearsals, master classes, private coaching, and interviews with theater professionals. Based on their skill level and professional goals, students are eligible for college scholarships, professional internships, career coaching, and opportunities for auditions. The RBTL's annual Stars of Tomorrow recognition ceremony is scheduled for May 8th. 3 times before, GLOW region students have advanced to the Jimmy Awards from the RBTL's Stars of Tomorrow New York City bound. Evan Williams of Leroy was a 2023 winner. Jack D'Angelo of Warsaw Central School was a 2019 winner, while Maureen Edwards of Corfu was a junior at Notre Dame High School in Batavia when she was chosen in 2012. The National High School Musical Theater Awards was founded in 2009 by Nederlander Alliances LLC, Pittsburgh CLO, and Broadway Education Alliance. The goal of the awards program is to recognize musical theater in schools and inspire the next generation of performers. The Jimmy Awards are named in honor of James M. Nederlander, a legendary Broadway theater owner and producer. Next, GVCA, the Genesee Valley Council on the Arts, to exhibit new collection of WPA-era works, 2 pieces returning home after nearly a century, by Dan Foltz, Mount Morris. The Genesee Valley Council on the Arts, home of the New Deal Museum, will debut a major addition to its New Deal collection with a new exhibition of art from the Works Progress Administration. Many of these artworks will be exhibited to the public for the first time since 1940. The exhibit, A Painting's Work is Never Done, new loans from the Federal Art Project, will be unveiling during an opening reception scheduled from 5 to 7 p.m. May 8th at the GVCA, 4 Murray Hill Drive. The reception will also be in conjunction with the opening of the GVCA's annual members show. The WPA additions to the New Deal collection follow a June 2025 visit by museum staff to Washington, D.C. While there, the team secured a long-term loan of more than 180 artworks from the General Services Administration. The new collection includes prints from the Works Progress Administration Federal Art Project in New York City, along with pieces originally housed in medical institutions that have since closed. Among the works are two paintings returning home to Mount Morris nearly a century after their original installation at the tuberculosis hospital. Beyond Yonkers by Leopold Widlicka and Summer Breeze by Joseph Sabolauskas. Both works retain original tags confirming their commission for the Mount Morris TB Hospital. They rejoin the more than 220 works original to the hospital in the museum's current collection. All WPA artworks, including those in GVCA's original New Deal collection, remain the property of the federal government and are held on long-term loan. In 2026, the GVCA partnered with SUNY Geneseo on a semester-long research initiative centered on the newly acquired GSA collection. Students conducted in-depth research on 60 selected works, examining their historical context, artistic significance, and cultural relevance. The exhibition was developed with contributions from students in SUNY Geneseo's English and Museum Studies programs who participated in the research, writing, and curation of the project. Their findings form the interpretive foundation of the exhibition, offering visitors a scholarly perspective on these historic works. This collaboration builds on a long-standing partnership with SUNY Geneseo. GVCA board member Dr. Ken Cooper previously led a major 2018-2019 initiative to catalog and interpret the Murray Hill TB Hospital's New Deal era paintings. That foundational work continues to inform current efforts, now expanded through collaboration with Dr. Ayla Myzelev, who co-guided the student research component. All 400 WPA artworks, including those in GVCA's original New Deal collection, remain the property of the federal government and are held on long-term loan. Opening in conjunction with the WPA exhibition is GVCA's annual members show, showcasing more than 30 local artists from across our region. This show has grown to be one of my favorites, says GVCA Executive Director Morgan Hellquist. It's an opportunity to see the growth and development of our local creatives. Every year we get to see the new creative approaches from our seasoned artists and be introduced to new and emerging artists from right here in our community. For more information, visit gvartscouncil.org. As a reminder, you are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is about 28 minutes past the hour. And let's continue on the Genesene Spring Chickens Hatch Show in Geneseo. Trio highlights originals and work of musicians they like and respect by Ben Beagle. Individually, musical artists Connie Deming, Scott Reagan, and Steve Piper have established themselves in their own right across Western New York. They got together to play music as friends a number of years ago, and as such things do, that evolved into occasional performances, even some backyard events during the later stages of the COVID pandemic, and they became a band. Deming, Reagan, and Piper call themselves Spring Chickens. The trio is scheduled to perform May 2nd at the Geneseo Riviera, 4 Center Street, Geneseo. Their material is composed of their own compositions and music they all like and respect, such as John Prine, Nancy Griffith, the Beatles, and Roy Orbison. Eclectic is a good term here, too, says Mike Smith, who, with Tom Bushnell of Healthy Scratch Partners, are promoting the show. Smith and Bushnell have been bringing a number of national touring bands to the venue for a couple of years. This time they chose to bring in a Rochester-based band. We know them as performers and as really nice people, and want to give them a chance to play in a theater with impeccable acoustics, Smith said. While a spring chicken generally refers to a young, tender chicken, the trio of experienced musicians that make up Spring Chickens has hardly slowed down. The trio has been playing around Rochester and the western New York area and beyond for years, and around 2018 or so, united to do original material and versions of other songs they love and admire. Deming is known for her distinctively rich voice and great range. Her signature performances have been reprising the Joni Mitchell album Blue in locations such as Smith Opera House in Geneva. She has faithfully recreated Mitchell's music while adding her own flair. She's also an accomplished songwriter and multi-instrumentalist. Reagan is best known as the host of Open Tunings on WRUR-FM for more than 30 years. He is also a songwriter and guitarist, appearing with many local performers. Most notably among them, he was a founder of the eclectic band Watkins and the Rapiers. Annually, they provide non-traditional Christmas songs, and in the meantime, they've recorded an entire album of songs based on several Twilight Zone episodes. Piper, also a member of Watkins and the Rapiers, plays guitar, piano, and accordion, and adds a number of his own compositions. As Healthy Scratch partners, we have focused on bringing in distinctive touring bluegrass musicians, but we don't want to ignore so many talented local performers and songwriters, Smith said. This event will give the audience a chance to watch three great friends sharing music with each other in a great listening space, almost as if you were invited into their living room. And now from the comics section, I'll try to go over some of the funnies that are illustrated here. The first one is the comic strip called Pickles. And it shows a grandpa sitting on his couch reading the newspaper, and his little grandson is behind him at the top of the couch looking over his shoulder. The grandson says to his grandfather, he says, "Grandma says her hair has split ends." So the little boy's looking at his grandfather. He says, "Does your hair have split ends, Grandpa?" He says, "I don't know and I don't care." So the little boy says, "I think maybe you do have split ends. It looks like they're split all the way apart," because he's totally bald. As a side note to that, the grandpa received a comb for his birthday present. He looked at it, he said, "A comb, what a wonderful gift. I'll never part with it." Now that everyone has stopped laughing, I'll continue with classic Peanuts. This is the first frame. You have Charlie Brown laying in his bed watching TV, and Snoopy the dog is leaning over the top of the TV, like blocking the top of the TV. The phone rings, and Charlie Brown answers the phone, and he says, "Hello." He says, "Oh, hi. No, I'm not doing nothing much." Next, he says, "I'm just sitting here watching the lower half of a movie," because Snoopy is leaning over, blocking half of the TV. And in Garfield, here you have Garfield the cat smacking his lips, looking at a fish bowl and a fish swimming around in the fish bowl. And then he looks and he thinks in his mind, "Oh, look at this." And he's just smacking his lips. And then the next frame, he said, "Oh, John restocked the seafood buffet." Like he's going to get after the fish in the fish bowl. Okay, let's get back to sports. Local sports action by Mike Rose. Let's start with Attica girls softball. Attica exploded for 9 runs in the 4th to rally out of an early hole to defeat Notre Dame 9-8 on Tuesday night. That would be Tuesday, April 28th. The Blue Devils trailed 5-0 before the fourth inning arrived. Haley Mills had the big blow of the rally with a 2-run double to put Attica ahead for good. Mills finished 3 for 4 with 2 doubles. Lily Scripp, Alana Gibo, and Tessa Dominici each added key hits during the rally, helping drive in crucial runs for the Blue Devils. Mills and Dominici combined for 11 strikeouts in the circle, with Dominici closing out the game to secure the win. Amelia Sorachi led Notre Dame with 3 hits and 3 runs. She also started in the circle, working 4 innings and striking out 6 while allowing 9 runs, 3 earned on 8 hits. Riley Hare crushed the first home run of her high school career in her 4th at-bat of the season, finishing with 2 hits, including a double, 2 runs, and 3 RBIs. Clarissa Milliman added a hit, a run, and 2 RBIs, and Gianna Folletti had a hit, a run, and 2 RBIs. Harper Ferris had a hit and an RBI while pitching 2 shutout innings, allowing 1 hit and a walk. Olivia Gallard and Lucy DeRicio each doubled, with DeRicio scoring once and Olivia Bizan tacked on a hit. Attica moves to 3-4 and will return to the field at 5 p.m. today, Thursday, against Alexander. Notre Dame drops to 1-6 and will face Aquinas at 5 p.m. on Thursday. Some other scores: Oakville, Alabama 13, Pembroke 4, Lindenville 15, Holly 8. Avon 5, Letchworth 0, Caledonia Mumford 12, Dansville 2, Wayland Cohocton 13, Newark 1, York Pavilion 11, and Perry 7. Switching to boys baseball, a milestone moment. Notre Dame baseball head coach Rick Rapone earns 100th win by Samuel Zerillo. It was a night that the Notre Dame community won't soon forget on Tuesday, April 28th, as Leroy native and Notre Dame baseball head coach Rick Rapone earned his 100th career win, with the Irish cruising to a 12-2 win versus Avon. Avon scored first in this one after a few early missteps from Notre Dame pitcher Finn Davies, allowed a Riverhawk runner to take base on a walk and eventually make his way home. However, he quickly recovered, going on to have a dominant performance on the mound, notching 10 strikeouts while allowing only 2 hits, 4 walks, and 2 earned runs across 5.1 innings. Solid pitching from the mound by Davies opened up opportunities for the Irish offense, leading to Notre Dame batters making it rain doubles and triples to the outfield to close out the game in 6 innings. Eli Grice had a day at the plate, recording both a double and a triple while scoring once and notching 3 RBIs. Chase Antinor would tally 3 hits and 3 runs scored of his own, while Drew Beachell, Finn Davies, and Aiden Horzempa all recorded 2 hits and 2 runs scored each. One of Beachell's hits was a double, and Davies cracked a triple. Rounding out the offense for the Irish were Preston Veal with 2 hits and a run scored, Evan Fitzpatrick with 2 hits, including a double, and Jeremy Warner with a hit. Antimore also closed out the game at pitcher in relief of Davies and finished strong by getting 2 punch-outs while surrendering no hits, no walks, and no runs. This win marked 100 total in Rapone's career, and more remarkably, he's done it in only a little over than 5 seasons. Currently sitting at 100 wins, 15 losses, he has a career win rate of 87%, and with a Genesee Region record of 68-4, holds a 94% win rate against local competition. He has also claimed a whopping 4 Section 5 championships in those 5 seasons with the team, all coming in different classifications. The 2023 team he coached went on to win a Far West regional title and advance to the state Final Four that year. Rapone mentioned how special it is to him to have reached this milestone in such a short time, giving credit to all the great players he's coached during his time at Notre Dame. It feels good, especially to do it in only 115 games, Rapone said. I think the more impressive thing is only having 15 losses. Just shows that we've had tremendous players. It's all about the players. We've had great players, and those great players have been pitchers on top of it. So it's all about the kids. They're the reason we did it. It's their show, not mine. The Notre Dame talent has certainly shined under Rapone's leadership, as he has coached 4 consecutive GR Player of the Year winners, including Gavin Schrader in 2022, Bryson Berry in 2023, Jaden Sherwood in 2024, and Evan Fitzpatrick in 2025. The kids have bought into the way we like to play and the style we like to play, as we try to make it as fun as possible too. So I think that's been the biggest ingredient, Rapone said. That talent on Notre Dame's roster, Rapone described, was on full display in Tuesday's game, as stellar play throughout the lineup helped the team extend its undefeated streak to 6-0. We're a very good offensive team, so scoring the runs is not surprising. But the pitching is what carries us. It's what carries us every year. I've been the coach. Finn Davies is our number 3 pitcher, and he went out there and after a little bit of a shaky start, shut them right down for 4 innings in a row. He pitched a great game, and the pitching kept them where they were and gave us an opportunity to keep adding on, Rapone said. Even with the Irish rolling the competition in the early part of the season so far this year, Rapone says the team's ceiling is higher than that. We're not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination, but if we can keep building on what we're doing, I feel very confident that we'll be in the right spot when we get to the end of the season, Rapone said. Notre Dame will play its next game on the road against Alexander, beginning 5 p.m. Thursday. Avon falls to 4-6 with the loss and will travel to Pavilion York starting 5 p.m. Friday. And switching to tennis, Wayland Cohocton Tennis traveled to take on Hornell Tuesday night, and the Eagles continued to roll as they went on to sweep all singles and doubles matches to take a 5-0 win. Waco was dominant in singles as George Baverstock, Max Brown, and Cole Snyder all earned straight set wins. The doubles team of Owen Cromie and Dominic Iacono also earned a straight set win to round out a big afternoon for the Eagles. Some other tennis scores: Caledonia Mumford 3, Perry 2, Livonia 5, Bath Haverling 0, Kendall 4, Byron Burgeon 1, and Alexander 3, Alba 2. As a reminder, you are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is now 43 minutes past the hour. Now, a quick look at the weather. Batavia. The days are getting warmer, but not as fast as residents in the Glow region might like. Another nice day in the 70s temperature are set for another downturn for the remainder of the week. How cold? We're talking possible frost. No alerts or advisories have been issued as of press time Wednesday, although calm weather is expected. Balmy weather doesn't appear to be in the cards. Rainy weather occurred Wednesday with high temperatures in the mid-70s and lows in the upper 30s, according to the National Weather Service in Buffalo, followed by a partly cloudy Thursday with highs about 50s. The rainfall may reach 3/4 to 1.25 inches across much of western New York. These rainfall totals are not enough to result in any true flooding, although ponding of water will develop in poor drainage areas within bank rises on creeks and rivers, National Weather Service forecasters said in Tuesday's weather discussion. Friday and Saturday won't get much better. Clear skies are expected with highs in the upper 40s and lows again in the 30s throughout. There are prospects for frost, along with a few snowflakes for western New York's higher terrain, NWS forecasters said. The Glow region's slow return to warmth has been a frustration for some area residents after what seemed a harsher than usual winter with prolonged cold temperatures. Every day of colder temperatures and chilly nights also means more furnace and heater use at a time when pocketbooks and bank accounts are stretched thin by high costs amid increasing demand. And now from the opinion page. Will King Charles's visit help soften the animus between the U.S. and the U.K.? By Daniel DePetris. King Charles III is Donald Trump's opposite in every way. The former is a master of protocol. Everything he does daily is scripted to a T. The latter despises a script. He hates giving formal speeches and prefers to ad-lib in front of his supporters. Due to his bloodline and the role of the monarchy in British life, Charles rises above the fray of Britain's increasingly bitter politics. Trump, meanwhile, relishes partisanship and uses it to his advantage. This week, the unlikely pair are meeting for a second time in less than a year, while Charles is in Washington for a multi-day state visit. His itinerary includes the usual goings-on for a head of state, a symbolic speech to Congress one day, and a visit to chat with 9/11 families in New York the next. Pomp and circumstance will be on full display, as one might expect. Even so, the monarch will have some work to do on this side of the pond. Job number one: use the gravitas of the British royal family to chip away at the animus that has bedeviled the U.S.-United Kingdom relationship since the beginning of the year. Although it would be an exaggeration to say that the so-called special relationship is falling apart, ties between the kingdom and its former colony are certainly at a low ebb. The U.S. and U.K. have clashed over everything from energy policy and trade to NATO and the status of Greenland, the large ice-covered Danish territory that Trump at one point threatened to seize by force. Trump, who has immense respect for the royals, but very little for the British politicians actually running the country, has taken a liking to lumping the UK in with woke European states that have, in his view, turned a once great continent into a hellscape overrun by migrants, crime, and windmills. It didn't start out this way. During Trump's first year, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer emerged as one of the few government heads on this side of the Atlantic who could manage the mercurial American president, particularly on Ukraine, where Trump has long wanted to cut a deal with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump constantly referred to Starmer as a leader who was doing a great job in a tough position. The two reached a trade agreement last May, a relatively short negotiation that was far less painful than the trade talks the White House had with the European Union. But the 2-month-old war in Iran has driven the relationship into lower depths, wedged in between a war in the Persian Gulf that he chose to fight, but which he's having trouble extricating from and oil prices 50% higher than they were earlier in the year. Trump has taken to bashing the UK for being no better than those hapless Europeans. Trump expected the British to make their air bases in the region available for U.S. bombers, but Starmer's government rejected those requests. London's decision to change tack and allow U.S. military aircraft to use British bases for defensive strikes against Iran during the Strait of Hormuz didn't satisfy Trump. He apparently believed that Starmer would keep his concerns to himself and follow Washington's lead like then Prime Minister Tony Blair did in Iraq 2 decades ago. Things have further devolved. Trump repeatedly has implied that Starmer is a modern-day Neville Chamberlain who really has nothing to offer the United States. Starmer, now one of the most unpopular politicians in the UK, has used Trump's bellicosity to his advantage. Standing up to Trump is a surefire way to earn decent ratings from members of the British public, who have a highly negative view of the American leader. Starmer is no longer acting as the amiable pushover. He's now the bold-faced Brit sticking up for UK's national interest. During successive interviews and sessions in the House of Commons, Starmer consistently has argued that he won't bow to Trump's pressure tactics by sending the UK armed forces to do battle with the Iranians. He's also getting louder in his criticisms of US policy. I'm fed up with the fact that families across the country see their bills go up and down on energy. Businesses' bills go up and down on energy because of the actions of Putin or Trump across the world. Starmer told British television earlier this month. It's not an unsubstantiated complaint. The International Monetary Fund has assessed that the UK is more exposed to energy supply disruptions in the Middle East in relation to other advanced economies, and it cut its growth forecast for the British economy as a result. For Starmer, whose future as leader of a progressively rudderless Labour Party is now at risk, these projections are about as helpful as a hole in the head. The negativity surrounding Trump's war of choice in Iran can't be chalked up to simple ideological divides between left and right either. Kemi Badenoch, leader of the right-wing Conservative Party, at first applauded the U.S. and Israeli bombing campaign against the Iranian regime. But as the economic costs have gotten more pronounced, she has come to criticize the Trump administration for the lack of a coherent plan and for leaving the region in a mess. Even Nigel Farage, who considers Trump a personal friend and whose Reform UK party is the closest Britain has to Trump's MAGA movement, has given Starmer credit for refusing to become an active belligerent in the conflict. King Charles, therefore, has his work cut out for him. It's a thought that will no doubt linger in his mind as he dines at the White House and poses for pictures with lawmakers at the Capitol Hill. Next, iconic big boy locomotive to visit Silver Springs. Giant steam engine will stop in village by Matt Sertel. Silver Springs. The legendary big boy steam locomotive will make a stop in the village, according to the Union Pacific Railroad Company. An updated schedule released by the railroad shows the gigantic number 4014 locomotive will arrive 11:45 a.m., June 11th, at the village's Main Street crossing. It will depart again at noon and is expected to cross through Letchworth State Park at 12:20 p.m. That's big news for area railroad enthusiasts. The Big Boy is generally considered the largest steam locomotive ever built. A total of 25 of the massive machines were built from 1941 to 1944. The locomotives built in Schenectady were mostly used in freight service out west in Wyoming and Utah. They weighed 600 tons, each including their tenders, and were 133 feet long. 8 survive today, with only number 4014 in operating condition. Originally retired in 1961, it was restored to service in 2019. The Big Boy is among the pinnacles of steam locomotive technology, and its sheer size dwarfs even modern diesel locomotives. Number 4014 has been touring the U.S. as part of America's 250th. It will cross through western New York on the Southern Tier route owned by Norfolk Southern Railway. The line passes through Genesee, Wyoming, and Livingston counties. This is the first time Big Boy has steamed across the Mississippi River and into the Northeast since its construction. Union Pacific officials said in a news release issued Tuesday. Union Pacific couldn't be prouder to share this powerful piece of history with the nation and to be a part of America's birthday celebration, said Union Pacific CEO Jim Vena in a statement. This tour celebrates our company's rich 164-year history, our nation's amazing story, and the people who have helped build our great country and our railroad. Railroads helped build this nation by connecting people, communities, and commerce. Work carried forward for generations by dedicated railroaders, said Norfolk Southern President and CEO Mark George. As the United States approaches its 250th anniversary, Union Pacific's big boys return to the east on Norfolk Southern rails reflects a shared legacy. The giant locomotive will arrive June 9th in Buffalo and will be displayed 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. June 10th at a nearby location. Those interested in the Buffalo appearance will board shuttles at the north side of Walden Galleria Mall near the Primark store, according to Union Pacific. The railroad advises there's limited capacity with metering enforced. There will be no public access outside those hours. As part of the tour, the nonprofit Union Pacific Museum will be selling tickets for rides in vintage passenger cars pulled by number 4014 through the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania on June 14th as a fundraiser. Interested riders can purchase tickets from the museum at uptrain-tix.org. It will be the tour's only passenger excursion opportunity. Union Pacific also advises stay back at least 25 feet from all railroad tracks. That includes drones. Railroad tracks, trestles, yards, and right-of-way are private property. Do not trespass. Never assume tracks are abandoned or inactive. Always expect a train. Be a safe and considerate driver. Do not pace the train. And be aware of the environment. The locomotive will be in a working rail environment with uneven walking surfaces that may create difficulty for accessibility. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the Thursday, April 30th, 2026 issue of the Batavia Daily News. We read from the Batavia Daily News every Saturday at 9 a.m. Your reader has been Ken Kuminski. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the East Aurora Advertiser. At 11 o'clock, we have the Niagara Gazette. And at noon, we have the Dunkirk Observer. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. Radio Reading mails out a large print program schedule to our listeners every other month. If you have not received a Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service large print program schedule in the mail, please call us at 716-821-5555. We will make sure that you receive one every other month. A Braille version of the schedule is also available upon request. Our number again is 716-821-5555. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability,